Admiral Han Wu stood at the window of his office, looking out at the stars. The space station was huge, bigger than any city on Earth. Ships from 12 different alien worlds came and went every day. It had been 30 years since humans first met aliens, and Han Wu still found it amazing. He turned back to his desk where reports waited for him. Earth had 50 billion people now, spread across hundreds of worlds. Humans were good at making babies and building new homes on distant planets. The aliens seemed impressed by how fast humans learned and grew. The door opened and Dr. Li Min walked in. She looked tired but excited. Her lab coat had strange stains on it from working with alien chemicals all day. "The new medicine is working," she said, sitting down heavily in the chair. "The Vorthak scientist Kliktar helped me fix the last problem. We can now make people live twice as long." Han Wu smiled. "That is great news. The Coalition will be very happy." Li Min nodded. The Coalition was the group of 12 alien races that ruled most of the galaxy. They had welcomed humans and shared their knowledge freely. Humans had learned so much in just 30 years. "Kliktar is a good friend," Li Min continued. "She says the Vorthak are excited about working with humans. We think in ways they never considered before." Han Wu had met Kliktar several times. The Vorthak looked like giant insects with 4 arms and big eyes. They were very smart and lived in groups where they shared thoughts. Kliktar was different from most Vorthak because she could think alone, which made her perfect for working with humans. A message came through on Han Wu's computer. Captain Park Hae was calling from her ship, the Soul's Pride. Her face appeared on the screen, and she looked serious. "Admiral, we just finished the patrol mission near the Rigel system," Park Hae said. "Everything is quiet. The pirates that were bothering the trade ships are gone. Good work, Captain." "How did the new weapons perform?" Park Hae smiled. "Perfect. The alien technology makes our ships much stronger. We stopped the pirates without even getting hurt." Han Wu felt proud. Human ships were now among the best in the galaxy. They combined human creativity with alien technology to make something new and powerful. The Coalition often asked human ships to help with dangerous missions because humans were brave and clever fighters. After the call ended, Han Wu walked to the big meeting room. Today was an important day. The Coalition leaders were announcing new plans for exploring distant parts of the galaxy. Humans would play a big part in these plans. The meeting room was full of different alien species. The Saurians looked like giant lizards and spoke in hissing voices. The blue-skinned Altarians were tall and thin, with big heads. The Vorthak delegates moved in perfect groups, sharing thoughts instantly. Director Yoon Soo sat near the front. She was in charge of bringing alien technology to Earth. Next to her was engineer Kim Tae, who built the new hybrid ships in the orbital factories. Both of them looked excited about the new exploration plans. The Coalition leader, a tall gray alien called Prime Coordinator Vexhan, began to speak. His voice was translated into human language by small devices everyone wore. "Friends of the Coalition," Vexhan said, "today we begin the greatest exploration in galactic history. We will send fleets to the far edges of our galaxy to find new worlds and new life." The aliens made different sounds of approval. Humans clapped, which seemed to amuse some of the other species. "Humans will lead many of these missions," Vexhan continued. "Your species has shown remarkable ability to adapt and survive in dangerous places. Your courage will help us explore safely." Han Wu felt a moment of pride mixed with concern. Humans were always chosen for the most dangerous jobs. They were good at it, but it seemed like humans were always the ones taking the biggest risks. After the meeting, Han Wu met with his human colleagues in a private room. Director Yoon Soo was excited about the new alien technologies they would get access to. "They are sharing faster-than-light communication devices with us," she said. "We can talk instantly across the whole galaxy now. And the new power sources will let us build bigger cities and better ships." Engineer Kim Tae was equally happy. "The shipyards are producing 3 new vessels every week now. We are building the fastest, strongest ships in the galaxy. Human engineering combined with alien science is incredible." Dr. Li Min was quieter. "Sometimes I wonder why they are so generous," she said slowly. "The aliens have been traveling space for thousands of years. Why do they need us so much?" Han Wu had wondered the same thing. Maybe they see something special in humans. We do think differently than they do. Or maybe Li Min said. "We are useful to them in ways we do not understand yet." The conversation was interrupted when Kliktar entered the room. The Vorthak scientist moved gracefully on her 6 legs, her forearms carrying data tablets. "Dr. Li Min," Kliktar said in her clicking voice, "I have exciting news about our research. The life extension medicine can be improved even more. We could make humans live for hundreds of years." Li Min's eyes lit up. "Really? That would change everything for humanity?" "Yes," Kliktar said, her big compound eyes reflecting the room's lights. "But we need more test subjects to make sure it is safe. Perhaps we could use some of the human colonists on the outer worlds." Something in Kliktar's voice made Han Wu feel uncomfortable, but he could not explain why. The offer sounded generous, but there was something else hidden in her words. Over the following weeks, human ships left for exploration missions throughout the galaxy. Captain Park Hay took her fleet to investigate strange signals from the galactic rim. Other human captains led missions to dangerous nebulas and unknown star systems. The alien races seemed very interested in human exploration reports. They asked detailed questions about everything humans found, especially about resources and defensive capabilities of new worlds. Dr. Li Min spent more time in her laboratory with Kliktar. They developed medicines and technologies that helped both humans and aliens, but Li Min noticed that Kliktar asked many questions about human biology that seemed unrelated to their work. Engineer Kim Tae was busy building new ships, but he also noticed something strange. The aliens always wanted to know exactly how many ships humans had and where they were located. They said it was for coordination, but Kim Tae wondered if there were other reasons. Director Yoon Soo worked hard to bring alien technology to Earth and human colonies. She was proud of how much human society had improved. People lived longer, traveled faster, and had access to amazing new tools. But sometimes she felt like humans were becoming dependent on alien technology. One evening, Han Wu met with his team again. They gathered in his private quarters, away from any listening devices. "Does anyone else feel like something is wrong?" he asked quietly. The others looked at each other uncertainly. Finally, Li Min spoke. "Kliktar has been asking strange questions about human genetics. She wants to know about things that have nothing to do with our medicine research." Kim Tae nodded. "The aliens want detailed reports on all our ships and weapons. They know more about human military strength than most humans do." Director Yoon Soo frowned. "Maybe we are just being suspicious. They have been good friends to humanity for 30 years. Han Wu wanted to believe that, but his military training made him careful. "Maybe we should be more cautious about sharing information. But if we do that," Yoon Soo said, "we might damage our relationship with the coalition. Humans need their technology and friendship." It was true. Humanity had grown so much with coalition help. Human colonies existed on hundreds of worlds now. Human technology had advanced by thousands of years in just 3 decades. Human ships were among the strongest in the galaxy. But Han Wu could not shake the feeling that something was not right. In his experience, when something seemed too good to be true, it usually was. As he looked out at the stars that night, Han Wu made a decision. He would prepare for trouble, even if he hoped it never came. He would quietly make sure humanity could defend itself, just in case their alien friends were not as friendly as they seemed. He did not know that in hidden places throughout the galaxy, those same alien friends were making very different plans for humanity's future. Captain Park Hay woke up when the alarm sounded on her ship. The Soul's Pride was on patrol near a small moon in the outer rim systems. Her crew was checking the area for pirates and smugglers, a routine mission they had done many times before. "Captain," her communications officer called out, "we are getting strange signals from that moon below us." Park Hay looked at the moon on the main screen. It looked dead and empty, just rocks and ice. But the sensors showed buildings hidden under the surface. "That moon is supposed to be uninhabited," she said. "Take us down for a closer look." The Soul's Pride moved closer to the moon. As they got nearer, Park Hay could see that someone had built a large facility underground. Ships were coming and going from hidden landing bays. "Captain," her weapons officer said, "those ships look like Vorthak vessels." Park Hay frowned. The Vorthak were supposed to be allies. What were they doing? In a secret base so far from their home systems? "Send a message," she ordered. "Ask them what they are doing here." The reply came back quickly. "They say this is a research station and we should leave immediately," the communications officer reported. Something felt wrong. Park Hay had worked with Vorthak before, and they were usually happy to share information about their projects. "Launch a probe," she said. "I want to know what kind of research they are doing." The small probe flew toward the moon and began scanning the facility. The information it sent back made Park Hay feel sick. The probe detected human life signs inside the facility, but they were weak and scattered, as if the people were hurt or dying. "Captain," her science officer said with a shaky voice, "the probe is detecting human prisoners down there. Many of them appear to be injured." Park Hay's blood turned cold. Human prisoners. What were the Vorthak doing to them? "Get me Admiral Han Wu immediately," she ordered. Before her communications officer could make the call, the Soul's Pride shook violently. Energy weapons were hitting their shields. "We are under attack!" the weapons officer shouted. "Multiple ships approaching from behind the moon." Park Hay looked at the screen and saw Saurian warships emerging from hiding places. The lizard-like aliens were supposed to be coalition allies, but they were shooting at her ship. "Shields up! Return fire!" Park Hay commanded. The Soul's Pride was a good ship with skilled crew, but they were outnumbered 5-1. The Saurian ships worked together perfectly, as if they had planned this attack for a long time. "Captain, we cannot win this fight," her first officer said. "We need to run." Park Hay hated to retreat, but her crew was more important than her pride. "Set course for the nearest human outpost. Full speed." As the Soul's Pride raced away from the ambush, Park Hay tried to contact Admiral Han Wu. But something was wrong with the communications. Every time she tried to call a human base or ship, she got no answer or strange static. Meanwhile, Dr. Li Min was working late in her laboratory. She was excited about the new medicine she and Kliktar had developed. It could make humans live for hundreds of years, and they were ready to test it on volunteers. Kliktar entered the lab carrying a strange device. "Dr. Li Min," she said in her clicking voice, "I have brought the final component for our medicine." Li Min looked at the device. It was unlike anything she had seen before, with patterns that hurt to look at directly. "What is that?" she asked. "It is a biological enhancer," Kliktar explained. "It will make the medicine work much better. But first, I need to show you something important." Kliktar activated a wall screen and showed images from around the galaxy. Li Min watched in horror as she saw human colonies under attack. Ships with coalition markings were bombing human cities and capturing human civilians. "What is this?" Li Min whispered. Kliktar's compound eyes reflected no emotion. "This is the end of humanity," she said calmly. "Your species has served its purpose. Now you must be removed before you become a threat to galactic order." Li Min backed away toward the door, but it was locked. "You are insane. Humans are your allies." "Humans are useful tools," Kliktar replied. "You fight our battles and explore dangerous places for us. But you reproduce too quickly and adapt too well. In another century, you might challenge coalition authority." The horrible truth hit Li Min like a physical blow. The medicine they had developed was not meant to help humans live longer. It was a weapon designed to kill them all. The life extension. "Treatment," she gasped. "It is poison." "A very clever poison," Kliktar agreed. "It has already been distributed to human medical centers throughout the galaxy. In a few hours, billions of your people will begin dying. They will think it is a plague, never suspecting their trusted alien friends." Li Min felt rage building inside her. She grabbed a heavy tool from her workbench and swung it at Kliktar. The Vorthak was faster, but Li Min was desperate. She managed to hit the alien's head before running for the emergency exit. Alarms began, sounding throughout the space station. Emergency lights flashed red as Li Min ran through the corridors. She could see coalition security forces hunting for her, but she knew the station better than they did. In his office, Admiral Han Wu was watching his worst fears come true. Reports flooded in from across human space, every human world space. Station and ship was under attack simultaneously. The betrayal was complete and perfectly coordinated. "Sir," his aide said with tears in his eyes, "Earth's orbital defense platforms are destroyed. Coalition fleets are bombing the major cities." Han Wu felt like the universe was ending around him. Earth, humanity's homeworld, had 12 billion people. How many were dying right now? "What about our fleet?" he asked. "Most of our ships were on missions far from human space," the aide replied. "The ones near human worlds were destroyed in the first wave of attacks. We have maybe 20 ships left out of 300. The numbers were impossible to accept. 50 billion humans lived throughout the galaxy. If the Coalition's attack was as thorough as it appeared, most of them would be dead within days." Engineer Kim Tae was in the orbital shipyard when the attack began. He watched in horror as Coalition ships destroyed the platforms where humans built their vessels. Explosions lit up space as decades of human work burned. But Kim Tae was clever. Instead of trying to fight, he ran to a maintenance ship and loaded it with all the alien technology blueprints he could carry. If humanity survived this betrayal, they would need every advantage they could get. The maintenance ship was small and fast. Kim Tae managed to escape the shipyard before Coalition forces could stop him. As he flew away, he saw the massive construction platforms exploding behind him. Director Yoon Soo was on Earth when the bombing started. She had been in a meeting with government leaders when the first Coalition ships appeared in orbit. Now she was running through the underground tunnels beneath the capital city, trying to reach the emergency command center. The tunnels shook with each explosion above. Yoon Soo could hear the screams of millions of people as their world burned. The aliens they had trusted for 30 years were murdering everyone they could find. When she finally reached the command center, she found chaos. Most of Earth's leaders were dead or missing. The few survivors were trying to coordinate evacuations, but there was nowhere safe to go. "The Coalition is broadcasting across all frequencies," a technician reported. "They claim humanity was planning to overthrow galactic civilization. They say this attack was necessary to protect all other species." Yoon Soo felt sick. The Coalition was making humans look like the villains while they committed genocide. Captain Park Hae finally reached a human outpost, but it was already destroyed. The space station was a twisted wreck floating in space. She could see bodies drifting among the debris. Her communications officer managed to establish contact with a few other surviving human ships. The reports they shared painted a picture of complete disaster. "The Centauri colonies are gone," one captain reported. 20 billion people, all dead. "The Vega system fell 6 hours ago," another voice said. "They used biological weapons. Everyone died screaming." Park Hae realized that Dr. Lee Min's medicine project had been turned into a weapon of mass murder. The aliens had used human trust and friendship to deliver death to every human world. By the end of the first day, the scope of the betrayal became clear. Of humanity's 50 billion people, fewer than 200 million had survived. Most human worlds were empty graveyards. The few survivors were scattered across the galaxy in small groups, hunted like animals. The Coalition's propaganda broadcasts continued, telling the galaxy that humanity had been a dangerous threat that needed to be eliminated. Most alien species believed the lies or simply did not care about human suffering. But the Coalition had made one critical mistake. They had assumed that destroying most of humanity would be enough to finish the job. They did not understand that humans become most dangerous when they have nothing left to lose. In hidden places throughout the galaxy, human survivors began to gather. They shared one common goal now: revenge against the species that had betrayed them. The Coalition thought they had solved the human problem. Instead, they had created something much worse than they had ever feared. They had turned humanity's greatest strength, the ability to survive and adapt, into their own doom. The hunt was about to begin, and this time humans would be the predators. 5 years had passed since the Great Betrayal. Admiral Han Wu no longer looked like the confident diplomat who had once represented humanity to the galaxy. His hair was gray now, and scars covered his face from battles with Coalition hunters. The other survivors called him the Ghost Admiral because his fleet appeared and disappeared like spirits in the night. Han Wu stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Revenge. It was not the same ship he had commanded before. The Soul's Pride had been destroyed 2 years ago in a fight with Saurian warships. This new vessel was built from salvaged parts and stolen alien technology. It looked ugly, but it was fast and deadly. "Admiral," his communications officer said, "Captain Park Hae is reporting in from the Vega system." Han Wu smiled grimly. Park Hae had become their most successful raider. Her ship, the Vengeance, had destroyed more Coalition vessels than any other human ship. Park Hay's face appeared on the screen. She looked as worn and scarred as the rest of them, but her eyes still burned with anger. "Mission complete, Admiral," she reported. "The Coalition supply convoy is destroyed. We recovered medical supplies and weapon components." "Casualties?" Han Wu asked. "None on our side. The Coalition crews never had a chance to send a distress signal." Han Wu nodded. That was how they had survived for 5 years. Hit fast, hit hard, and disappear before the enemy could respond. They had learned to fight like ghosts, striking from shadows and vanishing into the void between stars. "Return to base," Han Wu ordered. "Dr. Li Min wants to examine those medical supplies." In a secret research facility on a rogue planet that floated alone in dark space, Dr. Li Min worked with scientist Choi Jun to develop weapons of revenge. The facility was built inside an asteroid that had been hollowed out and hidden with stealth technology. Li Min looked tired. She had not slept well in years, haunted by memories of her alien friend Click Tar and the betrayal that had killed billions of humans, but her exhaustion was mixed with satisfaction. She was close to completing her greatest work. "The biological weapon is ready for testing," she told Choi Jun. "This one targets the Vorthak nervous system. It should cause complete paralysis within hours." Choi Jun examined the sample carefully. "And it only affects Vorthak? It will not harm other species?" "That is correct," Li Min replied. "I have designed 12 different weapons, one for each Coalition species. Each one exploits specific weaknesses in their biology. They called it the Reckoning Protocols, a series of biological weapons that would make the Coalition pay for their genocide." Li Min had spent 5 years studying captured alien prisoners and stolen research data to understand exactly how to kill each species most effectively. "When will we be ready to deploy them?" Choi Jun asked. "Soon," Li Min said. "We need more test subjects to be absolutely certain they work properly." Lieutenant Commander Nam Su entered the laboratory. He was a former Coalition intelligence officer who had defected when he witnessed the human genocide. His own species, the Altarians, had participated in the betrayal, but Nam Su could not stomach mass murder. "Dr. Li Min," he said, "I have information about a Coalition research station that is studying human remains. They might have useful data for your project." Li Min's eyes lit up. "Where is this station?" "In the Rigel system," Nam Su replied. "It is heavily defended, but Captain Park Hay thinks she can get a small team inside." The mission to the Rigel research station was planned carefully. Park Hay would lead a strike team to capture the facility, while Han Wu's fleet created a distraction elsewhere in the system. Engineer Kim Tae had spent 5 years building humanity's secret fleet. His hidden shipyard in the void between star systems was a masterpiece of engineering. Ships were constructed from stolen alien technology and human creativity, making them unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. "The new quantum engines are ready," he reported to Han Wu. "Our ships can now jump instantly across the galaxy without using the standard hyperspace routes." This was a huge advantage. Coalition forces could predict where human ships would appear if they used normal faster-than-light travel. But Kim Tae's quantum engines let human ships appear anywhere without warning. "How many ships are operational?" Han Wu asked. 47 combat vessels," Kim Tae replied. "Plus, the new prototype dreadnought Terra's Wrath. It is unlike anything the Coalition has ever faced." Han Wu examined the technical specifications for Terra's Wrath. The ship was massive, armed with weapons that could manipulate gravity and time itself. It was humanity's ultimate revenge weapon. Commander Bay coordinated the human resistance, cells that had infiltrated Coalition society. These brave volunteers lived among the aliens, gathering intelligence and sabotaging key installations. Many had been killed over the years, but their sacrifice provided vital information. "The Vorthak homeworld's defenses have been mapped," Bay reported. "Our agents have identified the locations of their primary hive queens. If we can eliminate them, the entire species will collapse." This was exactly what Li Min needed to hear. The Vorthak hive mind structure made them vulnerable in ways they did not understand. Killing the right individuals could cause their entire civilization to fall apart. The attack on the Rigel research station went perfectly. Park Highs. Team infiltrated the facility, while the Coalition defenders were distracted by Han Wu's diversionary attacks. They captured massive amounts of data about Coalition biological research. More importantly, they rescued 30 human prisoners who had been used for experiments. These survivors brought horrifying stories about what the Coalition was doing to captured humans. "They are studying us like laboratory animals," one survivor told Li Min. "They want to understand how humans adapt so quickly to new environments. They think they can use that knowledge to make their own species stronger." Li Min felt her rage burning hotter. The Coalition had not just tried to eliminate humanity, they were trying to steal human abilities for themselves. The rescued data contained detailed information about Coalition biology and weaknesses. Li Min used it to improve her reckoning protocols, making them even more deadly. Meanwhile, human raiding fleets grew bolder. They began attacking Coalition civilian targets, spreading fear among alien populations. What had started as a war of survival was becoming something much darker. Captain Oh Yeon commanded one of the newer human fleets. Her ship specialized in psychological warfare, broadcasting messages that terrified Coalition civilians. "Attention. Aliens," her standard broadcast said. "You killed our children. You destroyed our worlds. Now we are coming for yours. Run while you still can." The Coalition began to realize they had made a serious mistake. The human survivors were not just harder to kill than expected. They were becoming more dangerous every year. Human tactics evolved rapidly, while Coalition strategy remained rigid and predictable. News of human atrocities spread throughout Coalition space. Stories of human raiders who showed no mercy to alien civilians caused panic in many systems. Some Coalition species began to question whether the human genocide had been necessary, but it was too late for second thoughts. The surviving humans had only one goal now: complete revenge against every species that had betrayed them. Fleet Captain Oh Yeon's ships struck at a Saurian colony world, using biological weapons to poison the water supply. Millions of lizard-like aliens died slowly and painfully. The attack was deliberately designed to cause maximum suffering. "Let them feel what our people felt," Oh Yeon told her crew as they watched the planet die below them. The Coalition tried to negotiate with the human survivors, offering peace treaties and reparations, but every attempt at diplomacy failed. Han Wu's response was always the same. "You showed no mercy to our children," he would say. "We will show none to yours." Diplomatic envoy Jiang Mi became the voice of human vengeance. She delivered ultimatums to Coalition governments with cold precision. Her demands were always the same: complete surrender or total annihilation. "You created this war when you chose genocide," she told Coalition leaders. "Now you will face the consequences of that choice." By the end of the 5th year, the balance of power had shifted dramatically. The Coalition was losing ships and territory to human raids. Their member species were beginning to panic as human. Biological weapons appeared in their food and water supplies. Several alien species tried to abandon the Coalition and make separate peace deals with humanity. But the humans refused all negotiations. They had learned that alien promises meant nothing. Dr. Li Min's biological weapons were now ready for large-scale deployment. Each one was specifically designed to cause maximum suffering to its target species. The Vorthak weapon attacked their hive mind communication, driving them insane before killing them. The Saurian weapon disrupted their cold-blooded temperature regulation, making them freeze to death even in warm environments. "The reckoning protocols are complete," Li Min announced to the human leadership. "We can begin the final phase." Han Wu looked at his surviving officers. They were scarred, tired, and filled with hatred. But they were also incredibly dangerous. The Coalition had tried to eliminate humanity and had instead created the galaxy's most effective killers. "Begin. Operation Nemesis," he ordered. "It is time to show the galaxy what happens when you betray humanity." 10 years after the betrayal, Operation Nemesis began with silent death falling from the stars. Admiral Han Wu watched from his command ship as biological weapons were released simultaneously on 12 Coalition homeworlds. The weapons had been planted months earlier by human infiltrators who had sacrificed their lives to get close to alien population centers. Dr. Li Min stood beside the Admiral, watching her life's work unfold across the galaxy. Each biological weapon was perfectly designed to exploit the specific weaknesses of its target species. She felt no joy, only cold satisfaction as entire alien civilizations began to collapse. The Vorthak homeworld is reporting widespread communication. Breakdowns, the intelligence officer announced. Their hive mind network is failing. On the screen, they could see reports from the insectoid world. The Vorthak had always depended on their ability to share thoughts instantly across their entire species. Li Min's weapon attacked the biological structures that made this possible, leaving individual Vorthak isolated and terrified. Within hours, Vorthak society completely collapsed. Without their shared consciousness, they could not coordinate basic functions like food distribution or planetary defense. Millions of the insect-like aliens died in chaos and confusion, unable to understand what was happening to them. The Saurian Empire is fragmenting, another officer reported. Their cold-blooded physiology cannot handle the temperature disruption weapon. The reptilian Saurians had conquered dozens of star systems with their disciplined military culture. But Li Min's weapon made it impossible for them to regulate their body temperature. Even on their warm homeworld, Saurian soldiers were freezing to death in their barracks. Similar reports came in from all 12 coalition homeworlds. Each species was dying in ways specifically designed to cause maximum suffering and social breakdown. The weapons did not just kill individuals, they destroyed entire civilizations. Captain Park Hai led the space battle at Kepler Station, the Coalition's most important military base. Her ship, the Vengeance, had been upgraded with Kim Tae's new quantum technology. It could phase in and out of normal space-time, making it nearly impossible to target. "Enemy fleet approaching," her tactical officer announced. 60 Coalition warships. Park Hae smiled grimly. The Coalition still thought in terms of old-fashioned space combat. They had no idea how much human warfare had evolved. "Launch the new fighters," she ordered. The human fighters that emerged from the Vengeance looked nothing like traditional spacecraft. They moved in ways that violated the normal laws of physics, appearing and disappearing randomly around the battlefield. The Coalition fleet tried to respond, but their targeting systems could not lock onto ships that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Human weapons tore through their formations like knives through paper. Fleet Captain Oh Yan commanded the second wave of human ships. Her vessels surrounded the surviving Coalition forces and began the systematic destruction of every enemy vessel. No prisoners were taken. No mercy was shown. "This is for Earth," Oh Yan announced over open communications as her ships destroyed the last Coalition cruiser. Engineer Kim Tae's masterpiece, the dreadnought Terra's Wrath, appeared above the Coalition capital world of Nexus Prime. The ship was massive, larger than most space stations, and armed with weapons that could manipulate the fabric of reality itself. Kim Tae stood on the bridge of his creation, looking down at the planet where the Coalition government had planned humanity's extinction. Now, it was time for the aliens to experience fear. "Activate the gravity weapons," he ordered. The Terra's Wrath began to distort space-time around Nexus Prime. Tidal forces pulled at the planet's surface, causing massive earthquakes and tsunamis. The Coalition's most important world was being torn apart by forces beyond their understanding. Buildings collapsed as gravity suddenly became 10 times stronger in some areas and weightless in others. Millions of aliens died as their planet became uninhabitable within hours. The Coalition's member species began abandoning their alliance as their homeworlds burned. The Altarians were the first to attempt separate peace negotiations with humanity. Lieutenant Commander Nam Su, the defector from his own species, delivered the human response to Altarian diplomats. "Admiral Han Wu's answer is simple," he told them. "Complete surrender or complete extinction. There will be no negotiations." The Altarians pleaded for mercy, claiming they had been forced to participate in the human genocide. But Nam Su knew the truth. His people had enthusiastically supported the plan to eliminate humanity. "You cannot escape responsibility for what you did," he told the desperate diplomats. "Every member of the Coalition must pay the full price." Dr. Li Min released her final biological weapon against Nam Su's own species. The Altarians were tall, thin humanoids with enlarged brains. Her weapon specifically targeted their neural tissue, causing their enhanced intelligence to become a source of constant, unbearable pain. Altarian scientists and philosophers, once proud of their superior intellect, screamed in agony as their own thoughts became torture. Their advanced civilization crumbled as the most intelligent members of their society went insane or killed themselves to escape the pain. The coalition tried one last desperate military action. They gathered their remaining fleets for a final battle to protect their core worlds. Admiral Han Wu met them with the full might of the human revenge fleet. The battle was not even close. Human ships moved like ghosts through space, appearing behind enemy formations and disappearing before return fire could reach them. Coalition vessels, designed for conventional warfare, were helpless against human quantum technology. The enemy fleet is destroyed, Captain Park Hay reported. No survivors. Han Wu looked at the debris field that had once been the Coalition's last hope. Thousands of alien ships had been reduced to scrap metal in less than an hour. Send a message to all remaining Coalition worlds, he ordered. They have 24 hours to surrender unconditionally. Diplomatic envoy Jiang Mi broadcast the ultimatum across the galaxy. Her voice was calm and cold as she delivered humanity's final demand. You chose to make war on humanity, she said. You chose to commit genocide against our species. Now face the consequences of your choices. Surrender immediately, or watch your worlds burn. Most Coalition species surrendered within hours. They had seen what happened to those who continued to resist. The few worlds that refused to submit were systematically destroyed by human weapons that turned suns into bombs and planets into ash. Commander Bay coordinated the occupation of surrendered worlds. Human forces landed on alien planets and began establishing military governments. The surviving aliens were treated as prisoners of war at best, slaves at worst. Remember, Bay told his occupation troops, these beings tried to wipe out our entire species. They deserve no consideration beyond what serves our purposes. The transformation was complete. The scattered human survivors had become the galaxy's dominant military force. What had started as a desperate fight for survival had become an unstoppable campaign of conquest. Some of the neutral species that had harbored human refugees during the Dark Years were rewarded for their help, but even they lived under human protection, not as equals. Humanity trusted no alien species completely anymore. Governor Park Dal administered the Protectorate worlds with a careful balance of benefits and threats. The aliens under his control lived better than those on occupied worlds, but they understood that their safety depended entirely on human goodwill. You helped us when we needed help, he told the leaders of these worlds. We remember our friends, but we also remember our enemies. Do not make us reconsider which category you belong in. By the end of the 10th year, the Coalition no longer existed. Its member species were extinct, enslaved, or hiding in remote corners of the galaxy. The few survivors lived in constant fear of human retaliation. The galaxy had been reshaped according to human will. Alien worlds that once bustled with diverse civilizations now served human interests. The survivors worked in human factories, grew food for human colonies, and provided resources for continued human expansion. Dr. Li Min established new research facilities on former alien worlds. Her laboratories continued developing biological weapons, ensuring that no species would ever again pose a threat to humanity. She also worked on projects to enhance human capabilities, using stolen alien technology to make humans stronger, smarter, and longer-lived. Engineer Kim Tae built massive shipyards throughout human space. These facilities produced vessels that surpassed anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships could travel instantly across vast distances, manipulate matter at the atomic level, and destroy entire star systems if necessary. Captain Park Hay commanded the human Imperial Fleet, a vast armada that patrolled the galaxy to ensure compliance with human rule. Any sign of alien resistance was met with immediate and overwhelming force. Admiral Song Ran, one of the newer human leaders, oversaw occupation forces on thousands of worlds. Her troops maintained order through a combination of advanced surveillance, technology, and ruthless enforcement of human laws. The few remaining Coalition survivors sometimes asked why humans had not been satisfied with simple victory. Why had humanity chosen to become conquerors rather than liberators? 15 years after the betrayal that was meant to destroy humanity, Supreme Commander Han Wu stood on the observation deck of the restored Earth. The planet was more beautiful than it had ever been in human history. Cities of gleaming metal and crystal rose from landscapes that had been carefully rebuilt to surpass their former glory. But the most striking change was not the architecture. It was the servants. Aliens of dozens of species worked in the gardens below, tending to plants, under the watchful eyes of human overseers. Former coalition members who had once considered themselves humanity's superiors now spent their lives maintaining the world they had tried to destroy. Han Wu was no longer the diplomat who had once sought friendship with alien races. 15 years of war and conquest had changed him into something harder and colder. He wore the uniform of humanity's supreme military commander, and his word was law across thousands of star systems. "The memorial ceremony is ready to begin," his aide announced. Han Wu nodded and made his way to the Great Plaza in the center of New Geneva. Millions of humans had gathered for the anniversary of their near extinction. Billions more watched from colonies throughout the galaxy. Dr. Li Min waited at the podium. She had become humanity's most celebrated scientist, though her specialty was no longer healing. Her research now focused on ways to control and modify alien species for human benefit. Her laboratories on 100 worlds continued to develop new methods of biological warfare. 15 years ago today, Li Min began her speech, the aliens we trusted as friends tried to murder every human in the galaxy. They killed 49,800,000,000 of our people. They destroyed our worlds. They betrayed our trust. The crowd listened in silent fury. Every human alive remembered the betrayal, either personally or through the stories passed down by survivors. But they failed, Li Min continued. They thought they were destroying a pest. Instead, they created their own destroyers. Today, we remember not just our dead, but our victory over those who wronged us. Behind her, a massive wall displayed the names of the dead. 49,800,000,000 names scrolled slowly past, representing the greatest crime in galactic history. But below those names was another list, the 847 billion aliens who had paid the price for their species' betrayal. Captain Park Hae, now Admiral Park Hae, stood with the other military leaders. Her ship, the Vengeance, had become the flagship of humanity's exploration fleets. But exploration now meant conquest, and Park Hae's fleets were currently establishing human dominance in distant galaxies. "The Andromeda expedition reports complete success," she had told Han Wu that morning. "The alien civilizations there surrendered immediately when they learned what happened to the Coalition. They prefer human rule to human wrath." Word of humanity's revenge had spread beyond their home galaxy. Alien species in distant star clusters now lived in terror of human arrival. Some civilizations destroyed themselves rather than face what they imagined human conquest would bring. Engineer Kim Tae had built wonders that surpassed even his own dreams. His shipyards now produced vessels that seemed like magic to the aliens who saw them. The latest human ships could create new stars, move planets, and travel through time itself. His greatest achievement was the mobile fortress Humanity Ascendant, a construct the size of Earth's moon that served as the capital of human space. It could appear anywhere in the galaxy instantly, bringing overwhelming military force to any world that dared resist human authority. "The new quantum foundries are operational," Kim Tae reported to Han Wu. "We can now build anything we can imagine, using matter conversion technology taken from the Vorthak archives." The irony was perfect. Alien technology that had once seemed impossible for humans to understand was now used to build weapons that no alien mind could comprehend. Commander Bei In, now Governor General of occupied territories, administered the daily lives of trillions of alien subjects. His rule was efficient and absolute. Aliens who served humanity well received food and shelter. Those who showed any sign of rebellion were eliminated without mercy. "The former Saurian colonies are reporting excellent productivity," he told Han Wu. "The surviving population has accepted their role as laborers in our industrial complexes." Saurians had once been proud warriors who conquered worlds for their empire. Now the few survivors spent their lives mining asteroids and building human habitats. Their military culture had been deliberately destroyed, replaced with conditioning that made them incapable of violence. Dr. Li Min's biological modifications had proven very effective at controlling alien behavior. Each species had been altered to serve human needs better. The Altarians, once proud of their intelligence, now had their brains modified to make them perfect accountants and engineers for human projects. The Vorthak had been the most difficult to control because of their hive mind nature. Li Min's solution was elegant and cruel. She had modified their biology so that their shared consciousness was now controlled by human operators. Every thought, every action of the surviving Vorthak served human purposes. "We have created the perfect servants," she explained to visiting human dignitaries. "They retain their abilities, but cannot use them against us." Fleet Admiral Song Ran commanded the garrison fleets that maintained order throughout human space. Her ships were stationed above every significant alien world, ready to destroy any population that showed signs of rebellion. "The occupation is completely stable," she reported. "We have not had a significant uprising in 3 years. The aliens have learned that resistance is futile." Governor Park Dal oversaw the few alien species that had been granted protected status for helping human refugees during the dark years. Even these favored aliens lived under strict human supervision. Their worlds were comfortable prisons, beautiful, but controlled. "Our protected species continue to be grateful for human mercy," he reported. "They understand that their survival depends on maintaining our goodwill." The ceremony reached its climax as Han Wu took the podium to address humanity. His speech was broadcast to every human world and heard by every alien servant. 15. "Years ago they sought to make us extinct," he said, his voice carrying across the galaxy. "Instead, they made us eternal. They wanted to cage the wolf, but they only taught it to hunt." The crowd roared approval. Human children who had been born after the betrayal listened with wide eyes as their leader described the great victory. Their species had won. "Today, humanity rules over 10,000 star systems," Han Wu continued. "Our colonies span multiple galaxies. Our fleets patrol the universe itself. And all of this exists because aliens tried to destroy us." In the audience, alien servants kept their heads bowed as they listened to the speech. They had learned not to show any reaction to human celebrations. Emotional displays were seen as signs of potential rebellion and were punished severely. "The lesson of our triumph is simple," Han Wu said. "Never trust an alien, never show mercy to an enemy, and never forget that humanity's survival depends on maintaining our absolute dominance over all other species." After the ceremony, Han Wu walked through the rebuilt cities of Earth. Alien servants bowed deeply as he passed. Some of them had once been coalition diplomats who had smiled and shaken hands with human leaders while planning genocide. Now they spent their days cleaning human streets and tending human gardens. Children played in parks that had been built on the ruins of alien embassies. Human kids laughed and ran while alien servants watched over them, ensuring their safety and comfort. The children saw nothing unusual in this arrangement. To them, aliens had always been servants and always would be. In museums throughout human space, the story of the betrayal was told in careful detail. Children learned about the false friendship of the coalition and the great victory that followed. They were taught that aliens could never be trusted as equals, only controlled as subjects. The few remaining free alien civilizations in distant parts of the universe lived in constant fear. They sent regular tribute to human space, hoping that generosity would protect them from human conquest. Most understood that their independence was temporary. Humanity was expanding constantly, and eventually every intelligent species would bow to human authority. Dr. Li Min's research had extended human lifespan far beyond what had been thought possible. Humans now lived for centuries, giving them time to fully appreciate their victory over their former oppressors. Han Wu himself was over 100 years old, but looked no older than 30. "We have all the time in the universe," he often told his subordinates. "We can perfect our rule over the galaxy gradually, methodically. There is no rush, because there is no threat." The galaxy had been completely reshaped according to human vision. Worlds that had once hosted diverse alien civilizations now served as farms, factories, and research stations for human benefit. The night sky above every inhabited planet was filled with human ships, a constant reminder of who ruled the stars. As Han Wu looked out at the stars from his palace on Earth, he reflected on the ironic justice of it all. The Coalition had feared that humanity might become a threat to galactic order. They had tried to prevent this by destroying humanity first.